This video is a walking tour of Seward Park's Lost Lake Trail, situated across from the south parking lot. One of the most traveled trails. The purpose of this video is twofold. First, it's to give a record of the current state of the trail and of the regions of the forest on either side of the trail. And second, but certainly involved with the first, is to make a case for some methodical, as yet to be figured out strategies to keep the forest from going further in the direction that this video documents. So, as an assumption that guides the judgments presented here and the evidence presented here, is that to a first approximation, if the forest floor is undisturbed by traffic or disease, that it is nearly completely vegetated. So where we see cleared ground, it's, again, to a first approximation, the sign of off-trail traffic. Hello.
Hello, no photos. It's my day off.
Uh,
I'll do autographs out in the parking lot.
we'll get you later then.
All right, thank you. Have fun.
Thank you.
You guys are doing great work out here.
Thank you. And so some of the bare ground is obscured by the late August fall of big leaf maple leaves. So try to factor that into the things I show. So for instance, here, just beyond the first cedar, we have the trail runs like this, and off here is pretty much bare ground. Now, just to be sure that I'm not being too preachy here, I completely understand, empathize with, and to a certain extent even admire off-trail travel. Here's a side trail that goes off. And the reason I do is because it's people want to be in the woods and play in the woods. And by golly, we want them to. And we have the tension of the harm that causes to this 100-acre wood, which is nearly the last remaining bit of old-growth forest in what was 1 million acres of Puget lowland. So looking back here, we have lots of bare ground. So there's that tension. There's no bad guys here, but there is the wish that we could bend people's appetites a bit towards staying on the trail, admiring the place's beauty, having some awareness that going off trail kills plants. So right here we have a trail that goes off. People see it after it's created and are tempted to go there too. Fairly beguiling. You can see there's not much in this area that hasn't at least possibly been trampled. There's a clear sign beside that cedar of a footpath. Everybody wants to go off to see what they can see. Rounding the bend here. This sure didn't look so bad. Looks pretty good in that. Here's a cluster of 3 cedars on the right, and I think so. I should explain that some hardworking staff and associated campers from the Wilderness Awareness School have been have been trying to help here in the last few weeks. And this region here has benefited from their work. Happened just a few days ago. These berms are built up. But imagine for a moment, and it's still clear to see, this area is completely trampled. People really love to sport around in here, back in there, on the west side of the trail, and here on the east side of the trail. One possible proposal is to replant, reseed with appropriate species, with appropriate watering. See, here's a large collection. I'll go off trail myself here. Large collection of branches that are more probably some sort of a fairy nest. That's a popular activity in various parts of the forest. So if we can encourage people with visual and physical clues which are not too onerous, here you can see path goes up and over, back in there, back on the trail. You see a little bit more of this. This was preliminary berm work, mulch berm work that won't stand the test of time. They were sort of learning their chops on this one. You can see here, this is off trail, but it looks completely trail-like. Here's a trail that goes off. It might not be an exaggeration. It might not be too much of my own hyperbole to say that this section of the forest is hammered. It's a dozen trails. The main trail itself is wide. Oh yeah, here you see a and we can understand this, that this was a sporting spot here that people would climb up that 2-3 foot mound of old maple and cedar roots, and you can see here is a stump of a cedar about 4 inches in diameter, and my inference is that they would start up there, they would jump onto the cedar, it would swing, and then eventually it broke. A couple of weeks ago I sawed it down and put it over here. When I found it, it was still semi-attached to that stump. So it's again, sporting behavior that we can understand. Here's another trail going off. We can understand, we can admire. We like to see people, kids in particular, active in the woods. But the consequences, this whole region, the consequences are substantial. And unless we stem this process, maybe reverse it, and my own wish is to provide a place close by, another part of the forest. Here's another trail going back in there. This cedar has been run around on all sides, so that if we could find another place close by where kids could tear it up, sort of a semi-sacrificial area. See that there's foot traffic back that way. So 2 different sets of guidelines: play rough, get dirty over here in some sort of natural play area. So here we are, just crossing this bridge, a wetland in many parts of the year. Here's a recent trampling, and we can see over here as we approach the fairy tree, A lot of scampering off trail here. A lot of bare ground back in there. It's gotten worse, much worse in the last few years. So the proposal, you can see here, is that people will do this. We understand it. We endorse it in a way, but not in this 100-acre wood. So here we have an example of a very popular, very cool play spot, and this was getting progressively destroyed, and it's not doing so great now, but for a few years we've been working on it, planting here, fencing it in. Fences are always unwelcome, but perhaps are justified here. And with the thought that we can protect these tree roots and yet still provide kids access to climbing on the trees. So if we take that example and maybe enlarge it a bit, that the old growth forest becomes a preserve of sorts, formally or informally. Informal is probably much more likely. Encourage people to stay on trail, and yet speak to and endorse and provide outlets for rambunctious, youthful behavior, getting dirty in the woods nearby, and try to develop cultures that are guidelines, sensibility in which different sorts of behaviors are encouraged in the two different areas.